Today I am going to talk about how to submit a file in Dotloop. Okay, let's say I have a buyer and I am ready to write up a contract on a buyer. I am going to add loop. I see some agents putting names of the client. If you can avoid that, always put the address. I see some agents doing the MLS number, which is okay, but when you're going to submit the file, we want the address because later on if we have to retrieve that file, we are going to go and put the address in there. You can put the MLS in there temporary, but when you get ready to submit a file, we want the address to go in. So now you have a buyer. You're working with a buyer. You're going to put the address. Okay, continue. Okay, if you're working with a landlord, you're going to put this. If you have a referral, residential rental tenant, if you have a buyer and you're getting ready to write up an offer for a single family, we're going to go to single family. If it's a seller that you're getting ready to do a listing agreement, you're going to do the listing residential agreement. We have everything in here when it comes to you ready to work with a client from residential to commercial. We're going to residential. What resale means is that it's not a commercial property. I mean, it's not construction property. So let's go continue. If you want to take that extra step as a professional, you can. You can upload a photo. That's your choice. That's not mandatory. Now you're going to done. Okay. You're creating the loop. Now you go in here to view the loop. You see how I have the address in here and it's very clear. I have a purchase, select loop status. I'm going under contract. Purchase price is $600,000. Add closing date. Closing date. Okay. Now you've added as much as you can. You want to make a clear file and a complete file. So when the back end looks at your document, then they have everything that they need and they don't have to send you a note. Okay. So you have residential sales checklist. We have a checklist on every loop that comes in. Once you complete this, and this is for new agents who don't know what needs to go into their file, and you can have your checklist. But here's something you have to do in addition. You have to download this form, this checklist, because you're going to go to the transaction form. This is needed every time you submit a file. If you have a contract, listing agreement, rental, you have to complete this transaction form. The only way you can get the form is if you go here to download. Okay, this is just letting you know what you need to complete your file. Okay, once you finish with it and you're getting ready to submit it, you can archive it because we don't need that to close out your file. You go in here, you have your as is residential contract. You can complete this information here and then you write your contract so that once you complete it, you can go over and you can have it ready for signature for your buyers. Okay. When you do a listing agreement or a buyer's broker's agreement, and you need the broker to sign, which I sign the documents, email them to me, send it auto sign so that I can sign it and send it back to you. Do not wait for me to come in your file and check it. Send it to me so that I can sign it or initial it and it comes back to you. So you have that right there. And you have your exclusive buyers brokers. Everything that you see grayed out, that means that you can add something in here. You see where it says add file, add tax record? You can add it in here. You can add your escrow letter. If you do not have a second letter, escrow letter, then you archive that. We don't need it. So now you add the file. You can add it from your computer. Okay. Matrix. Open it. So you have your MLS sheet already. You don't have to add the document and create another, as we call them, a plate holder. you already have it in there. So now you do the same thing for your tax roll. Seller's property disclosure. It is not mandatory in the state of Florida, but we highly 100% recommend you get a seller's property disclosure on your files. You have the FHA if you need it. Let's say that you need a form that you have to add, okay? And you want to go to templates. You go to templates. You might say, I need a compensation agreement. You can go to the buyer's representation and you copy it. After you copy it, you have the file in here. Now, let's say you want to go somewhere else and it's not in any of those documents, those buyer representation, buyer documents, use form, and listing input forms, office form. You're going to come down to all the way down to Florida Interactive. You can get all types of forms. Okay, okay, let's go. Okay, I don't know what that's all about, but anyway, maybe it just needed to be updated, and I'm going to talk about that. So now we're going to go back to it. When you get something like that, or you cannot get your Florida Interactive forms, what you're going to do, because it's asking for your NRDS, that is a number of yours that come from National Association of Realtors. And if you do not have it, then we want you to Google it. All you have to do is say, how to find my NRDS number. Once you find that number, then you go and put it in your profile. Make sure that your profile is set up, but you're definitely going to have to put that number in there so that you can get the documents that you need. Let's say we're going to do listing agreements. Okay, you're looking for a listing agreement, and let's just go here and you copy it. Now you have that form in there and you can complete that form. So that's where you can get all the forms that you need. And remember, anytime it's grayed out, you have to add something. There are sometimes agents say, well, it's not opening. Something is wrong with my Dotloop. There's nothing wrong with your Dotloop. It is just saying that you can add the file in there. Okay. If you're not going to add that file when you're doing it, archive it. We don't need it. We only need the files that you're going to add to help you get to the closing table. You submit for review. This is where you submit for review. Here's another thing that's very important. In as-is contracts, sometimes when you're going back and forth with the agent, you all have all your documents on one attachment. You have your as-is contract, you have your lead base, you have your seller's disclosure, you have all your forms. No. Do not submit all your files on as-is residential contract if it's a lead base. Now, if you decide to do that, it's okay, but we're not going to accept it. We're going to tell you you have to put them all on, you have to put them on a separate sheet. So say, for instance, you have, again, as-is lead base and so on. You can submit that, but I'm only going to account the as-is residential. You're going to have to put the lead base where it goes. You're going to have to put the seller's disclosure where it goes. And this is how we check them. So when and if we're ever audited, we don't have to check the as-is residential contract for sale and purchase for a lead-based paint disclosure. So we want all of the documents on their own template. And we call them paper holders. Okay, so now we said submit, and once you submit, it comes to the back end. Then when you have the final alter, you come back in and then you make sure that you resubmit your file when you put the alter, your final alter in there. Okay, and this is just a quick Dotloop tutorial. I hope you get something from it. And if you don't, feel free to ask us, but Dotloop has more information than Dr. Karen, Sandra, or Gloria probably will ever have. So feel free to call them, and they'll definitely help you and help troubleshoot with any problems, anything that you have. But you can pull documents from templates, from browse, and from your email. Attach the files you need to an email and send them directly into this folder right here. You copy it, and those files will go right into your loop. And that is it. And Dr. Karen is signing off. But again, I hope you get something out of it. But this is definitely one of the things that you need to know, because this is about processing your files, submitting your files when it comes to your clients.